It's
Okay, we're
6:30. I'm going to call the meeting to order. I'd like to thank our BDCC representatives, who we'll get to in a moment, for coming. Are there additions to the agenda?
None from me,
Are there changes to the agenda order?
nothing from me.
All right. So we had the minutes of the last Tuesday's meeting, the 4th of September. Everybody get a chance to review them, and would anybody like to move them?
I move that they be accepted as written.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I just had one comment. There's
Sorry,
nothing
Gabby.
in communications, so I think that might be good, like the stormy night announcement, isn't it? The communications was blank in the meeting minutes, so I thought it would be good to put events or communications in there,
Okay.
so that people could read the meeting minutes and see if there's upcoming events.
Good idea.
So would you like to amend your motion?
I amend my motion to recommend that the minutes include the upcoming Dark and Stormy Night event, which is on Wednesday,
12.
the 12th.
From 6 to 8.
From 6 to
At the
8,
Guilford
at the
to
Guilford.
school.
Okay.
Guilford
Central School.
So,
Thank you.
do you want it suggesting that they always,
I think that'd be good.
and that the minutes from this time forward include upcoming events that are of interest to the Guilford town residents?
And would you like to re-second that?
I second
Oh,
it.
good,
Gordon
yes,
seconded it again.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So just following up on that, we'll have to be mindful of the kinds of events that are coming up, so that if Peter doesn't have communication about it, we can make sure that we add them.
So, thank you. Looking at the agenda, I see that we're missing highway update. Is there any?
Well, as you and I spoke about earlier in the week, or end of last week, we left it off because it's only been a week since we had the meeting, so there's nothing really to say.
I don't think so, because it was Tuesday and now it's Monday, so.
Yeah, exactly.
So the next item on the agenda is our Brattleboro Development Credit Corporation update to the select board, and we have 3 members of BDCC and 7. So I'm going to ask you to each introduce yourselves, and then you have the floor.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Laura Sibilia, Director of Regional Strategies.
My name's Alex Beck. I'm the Workforce and Education Program Manager.
And I'm Christy Beatty. I'm very newly hired, thank you, Flexible Pathways Coordinator.
Working with kids in school. Should we come up? Try and come up here?
Yeah, sure. Here. As long as just people's backs aren't in the camera, that would be great.
Okay.
How about turning right there?
Okay, great. So what I'm going to do is hand these out. Shoot out there.
In the rain.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, yes.
So we're not
Well,
going
we
to look at
divvy
these
it
now,
up.
we're going to listen.
Yes. So, and let me get Kristen. Kristen has us, hopefully, yes, she does, has us really well prepared. So let me start with connectivity with you guys. Did you get our survey?
And filled it out.
Perfect, wonderful. Okay, so I don't know that it's in our pile yet, but we have had 8, just because I know you guys are interested in this. We have had 8 responses yet. I would say that Guilford and, well, I haven't seen your responses, but my guess
Did you
is.
send it to me in relation to the internet stuff, or did you send it to the select board?
We sent it to every select board
Yes, I got
in
it.
southern Vermont.
Okay, because I filled out a preliminary.
Yes, that was
Okay.
a review,
Yeah.
look-see kind of thing. So we've gotten a number of those back. So, and what it looks like is a lot of municipalities need a lot of support. And so a few of our municipalities are a little further down the road. I would expect Guilford will be in that category, as well as Reedsboro is pretty well organized, actually. So what we're looking at for the Connectivity Summit, and for those of you that don't know, that was something we had done last year through the Southern Vermont Economy Project. Did anybody attend that last year?
I did,
Both of
yeah.
you?
I did.
Okay, you guys did, excuse me, so I should remember that. So in talking with Sheila, there were a fair amount of people there.
Did I watch the videos?
Yes. Yeah. I think you've contributed. So In talking with Sheila, she had actually said later this summer, that was helpful. We wouldn't attend the same thing, because we're at a different place. And we took that to heart, and so that was really the purpose of the survey, is to really see where our municipalities are. Based on where our municipalities are, what we're looking at right now, Sarah should have more information, Sarah Lang, I think most of you know her, soon about how we'll do this, but we're thinking to workshop with towns that have designated town-sanctioned committees or volunteers efforts going on right now, and workshops specific to their individual situations, bring in various resources for them, and then do some other organizing preliminary type work with folks that aren't quite as far along. So looking forward to that in November coming up, and we certainly do hope that it will be something for you, and that we'll be working with you to make sure that it's an event that helps move you guys along in that. Purpose of tonight is to just kind of recap the services that are available to you through BDCC and SEVIDS. In the folder, Kristen Brooks, our internship coordinator and town scheduler extraordinaire, has put together materials on all of our different programs, as well as a flyer on our upcoming SEDS public information meetings. And so we'd be happy to go over any of those programs with you. You have in there the BDCC and SEVIDS annual report, the RMAP brochure, which is a small business, Alex, jump in if I butcher this, small business entrepreneurial lending.
Yep.
You have the YP, Young Professionals Calendar, Connectivity Summit Survey, which you all have received, flyer on the internship program, a flyer on the SEDS public meetings, which we really hope to encourage not only yourselves, but your residents, your retirees, your workers in town to attend those meetings. We know it's hard for people. They've moved in a lot of directions. This is a 5-year plan that we developed, the SEDS. So it's once every 5 years. 2 sets of public information meetings, and this plan will only be as good and useful to you as the input that we put into it. So we hope that folks will find that there's a meeting there that's convenient to attend.
I don't see the survey in here.
I think that
Oh,
may
do
be-
I have it? Yes, I do.
Actually, this was not for the public, this is only for you all, so that's kind of separate.
Oh, I see.
Do you want to see this?
Sorry. Yes, sure, I do actually. I didn't see the final, somehow I missed.
And so specifically here, I think there's also some information on knowledge bites. So those are the short 30-minute program webinars that Sarah Lang's been doing for almost a year, I think, with various pieces of information, resources, tools, efforts that are underway so that you can access at your leisure. Let's see, what else do we want to tell you? Specific updates to the town. We have been meeting from time to time, trying to be responsive to your connectivity needs. We have also done some work with
So
interns.
Caleb, Pasha,
oh my
who
gosh.
we all know and love.
I would like to keep forever and ever and
yeah.
not have him go back to school.
So we hosted him again this past summer. He's excellent. Again, the hardest part is letting him go at the end of the summer. And I believe our upcoming Young Professionals event for September is at Circle Mountain Farm, which is a Guilford farm. And so it's every year we do what we call the Harvest Hang, and that is for the people who think they want to do agriculture but don't work in agriculture. It has an opportunity. I think they'll be digging potatoes that day.
So they can get their hands dirty before
Absolutely.
they start farming?
Yes.
Good idea.
And I know that I believe Circle Mountain has a CSA that's at the youth theater, and so that's a great opportunity as people who wouldn't know about a farm that they wouldn't normally run into can learn about what they do, and then hopefully be a part of that community and either join a CSA or purchase some food and of course, have a good time at the harvesting. So that's the end of September, I believe.
Yes. The other piece that I think would be important to talk about is really why Christy's here, and Alex can talk a little bit about the program. We're getting ready to make a formal announcement soon. This is many years in the making, so it's a big deal. Go ahead, Alex.
Absolutely. So I believe, Sheila, I sent you an invitation. You may have gotten it in your email, but you're all invited to the launch of a new program that we're calling Pipelines and Pathways. And what it is really based on is we've shared in the past a lot of our workforce programs are about career awareness, so bringing students to employers, bringing employers into the classroom, and doing cover letter, resume, that employability skills. And we started asking ourselves, what if we bring a student to a local employer and they absolutely love it? What more can we do? What's the next step? How do we really help that student plan their education and their entry into the workforce? And so the name of the program is Teachers Talk About Educational Pathways and Employers Talk About Employment Pipelines. And sometimes when they're talking, they just miss each other in the night. And so this, we fundraised for over a year to find the right person to hire for this, to run this program. And so we found the right person. Christy Beatty will be working in all 4 high schools at least 1 day a week. So I, at best, was getting there once a month to do activities and a handful of field trips a year. Now there's a resource at school, at the high schools, 1 day a week.
We should let Christy
Yeah,
talk a little
and-
bit about her Southern Vermont history. and
Yeah,
roots.
so I am a 7th generation Vermonter. I grew up in Whitingham and graduated from the former Whitingham School many, many years ago. It's been many years. And I actually went to the University of Vermont, and then I left. I left and went to Boston, and I've been there for the past 17 years working in workforce development and public school teaching. So it's just kind of a great combination of my past work, I think. And I'm so excited to come back. This opportunity came up. Oddly enough,
Serendipitous.
it was serendipitous. I put something on Facebook about wanting to plant tomatoes and just stop with the traffic and the crazy. And my old high school principal John Doty said, "Hey, there's a job opportunity if you're interested."
Wow, that's great.
I mean, it was really,
great.
minutes after I had written it down, and I thought, all right, the world, somebody's trying to tell me something. So yeah, so I'm back up here, and I'm with my mom right now, staying with my mom, who's been here her whole life. So I'm really excited to be back and dig into this program. Oh, jump up and down.
Thank you.
There you go.
So, yeah, we're thrilled to have Christy on board. Something she didn't mention is she's also a theater teacher, and we all know how important the arts weave through everything we do in all of our communities. So that's really exciting to me personally, at least.
I think it's really important to point out that the road to bringing Christy here and having Christy working one-on-one with our kids in our schools and our employers is a long one. And very prominently, our municipalities are featured. So the work that you all have been doing with your voters, the support that you have been investing in these programs has gotten us to this point. And we could not have done it without that.
Well, this is also very exciting because last year at Guilford Town Meeting, there were residents that really had a hard time placing sevens in the package of, Women's Freedom Center or Groundworks Collaborative, and how is the immediacy and urgency of this comparable. And I think that this is a program that everybody will want to embrace and everybody can grasp. So I hope they'll be watching this program when they have nothing better to do.
Participating.
Yeah, well, I mean, just as an introduction, and certainly, you know, it's great to see that that's happening.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, we're excited. Is there anything else we want to add? Rick, do you want to talk about the career fair, Alex? Real quick?
So that's the new and exciting shiny thing we have, is this new program and an awesome new staff person. But there's also the same events and opportunities we've been doing year after year. So the Career Expo, the Southern Vermont Career Expo is on October 18th at the River Garden. We've already sold out all the tables for employers, which is both exciting and lets me relax a little bit more. And now we need job seekers. And so what we'll be doing is we're going to be printing flyers this week and coming around and hanging them up everywhere we can. We'll send a version to you digitally and maybe drop off a stack to here as well. And so all industries are represented, and after it there's a social event that focuses on the food and beverage industry that we have, because normally those industries don't sign up for booths at career fairs, and we didn't want to miss them. And so we're calling it Occupations and Libations. And so that's with the young professionals and some of the local food producers. So New Chapter is going to have smoothies there. We're hoping Commonwealth Dairy may be involved as well.
Leader Beverage, are they?
We haven't approached them yet. I think they have a booth at the expo, but I'll reach out to them. But yeah, and so it's that social, that if you work in an industry that doesn't keep 9 to 5 hours, there's something for those employers and job seekers as well.
Alex, what does that say?
Oh, so there's a last thing about the micro entrepreneurship program. You have it in it's the
RMAT?
Yep.
Okay.
It's always uncomfortable for us because we're not really allowed to talk about the people who come for our services, for business support services. But we do know that there's someone in Guilford who recently purchased a business through our program, and we're thrilled about that. And I bet if you,
Okay.
yeah.
So,
Can I ask a question about the pipeline?
Yeah, of course.
So how do you reach parents of children who are struggling? Or do you reach parents?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the first 6 months of the program is building all that infrastructure and really learning how our teacher is currently communicating with parents. Is there a different way? Can we partner with the schools? So what's exciting about this program is from the superintendent level down, they've all really welcomed this program in, and part of what that support is, it's not just a room in the school for Christy to work in, it's being a part of staff meetings, being able to address the teacher population and the parent population, and really committing to getting those materials out there.
so still developing.
Yeah. And this is like
That's-
this week had one parent in Brattleboro, one in Guilford, just trying to figure out how to get their kids into, like, A, stay in high school, B, into it, more hope about jobs and future.
She's coming.
Yeah.
She's coming.
Yeah.
She's only been here a week.
I know, no, I'm just like,
Yeah.
But she is, tell them,
yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, I definitely want to obviously connect with the families here. I mean, I think that's the key. You know, when I was a kid, those were the people that tried to help me but didn't know how to help me navigate those pathways.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping I can make that connection. Yeah.
Great. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I was just gonna ask if there were questions and specific things that you all wanted to talk about, so. Does everybody know about the SEDS process that we're doing? Everybody's shaking their head, great, okay, good.
But it might be good just to explain to our audience out in Guilford.
Sure. So SEDS is a 5-year economic development plan for the region that is created through a federally prescribed process. The current SEDS was for the Wyndham region's 27 towns, created
Might say
through
what SEDS stands for.
Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy, thank you. and that was created for the Wyndham region in 2014. With the creation by the Vermont legislature of the Southern Vermont Economic Development Zone, which is Wyndham and Bennington counties, we are now replacing the 2014 SEDS with a 2019 Southern Vermont Zone SEDS, which will be inclusive of Wyndham and Bennington County, which is much more typical in terms of a SEDS. They're typically more than one region. Wyndham region was allowed to develop this single county SEDS because of the impending closure of the nuclear power plant. So right now we're in the process of assessing data, developing goals. The SEVIDS and the RED, Regional Economic Development Board in Bennington, have drafted some preliminary goals, and this first set of meetings in September will be going out to the public and saying, what do you think? Looking at the data, here's what we believe are our marching orders 2019 to 2024 and what we're going to be trying to move the needle on. And really important for us to get feedback on that, because if everybody says that does not make sense to me, I'm not there, I don't buy it, it's going to be pretty hard to implement. So
I do have a question. So have you thought of, or do you have an impact study of your outcomes and the results?
yes, in your folder,
Mhm.
the annual report is in there, and that Jen is in the process. I think you know. Do you know Jen Stromson? I know a lot of you know Jen. Jen does our annual report, and she's in the process of developing our next one.
Okay.
Okay.
Which will focus on outcomes.
Yes. Yes.
So the two meetings in Brattleboro, September 24th and November 14th.
Yes.
I understand you're inviting the public.
Everyone
Okay.
is invited.
So if we were to put it on our town website,
We would be
and
very
Front Porch
appreciative.
Forum and
Yes.
stuff like that, it would be,
Yes.
And
Be a
that
great
had-
way of ensuring Guilford voices.
yeah.
And we actually had that posted on our bulletin board prior to it coming down for painting,
Thank
but
you.
we can put it up again.
Yeah,
I
I
like
think-
the paint. It's nice color.
okay.
Good.
Good. I would also tell you, Kristen would want us to tell you, we are out petitioning, and I believe through Caleb, we have about half the signatures already that we need.
And
Probably
doing
won't
it
be out in the
warm
snow.
weather.
Yes. No snow petitioning this year.
I ran into him, I'm like, hey, look, you're here
Yeah.
now. Very smart.
Yes.
This is your second or third year of
Thank you
petition?
very
This is
much.
their final year.
Third.
There you go. Thank you. Thank you.
Wow,
Thank you.
thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Nice meeting you. All right. Have a good night, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, I'm excited. And it's great to hear that John Doty is still around.
Yes.
He's a good guy. I love him.
Well, next on the agenda, from the high road to the low ground is the town office septic system.
All right.
And we had,
That's pretty low.
goodbye, everybody. And we had 3 bids, which
Yep.
were in the folder.
Right.
And you can,
So
Go
yeah,
away.
we don't need to belabor this since it's already been done. We have one bid from MT3, which you already saw was $11,950. I'm just going to read them out for people who watched the video, see it on TV. We have one from Grover Services Inc. for $15,900, and we have a third one from LaRock and Son Inc. for $19,780. As was discussed at a previous select board meeting, the funds from this will come from the contingency funds that were set aside for the renovation project. So that's how we will pay for it. So that's that.
So I'd make a motion to approve the MT3 bid for the septic system.
Second.
And can I just ask a question? 'Cause I didn't see the RFP, so it was, and their proposals seem to be slightly different. I just want to make sure that they met all the requirements of the RFP and they gave us their certificate of insurance and.
Alan McBean was the one that put the RFP together on our behalf.
And did he check to make sure that that met all of our? I just
He-
want to make sure it's certified by some, or checked by
Yes,
somebody.
so he did, all of the proposals were sent to him, and then he sent them to me after reviewing them.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone did review it, I mean,
Yes.
everyone did meet the requirements. He did actually phone me because one of them was written slightly differently than the other two were. And he made a couple of phone calls about that and did clarify those things. And he didn't feel it was necessary for them to submit a different one after they clarified over the phone. And yes, they did all submit certificate of insurance. We already had one on file for MT3, although they did submit one as well.
Any other questions? All in favor of MT3's, accepting MT3's proposal?
Aye.
Peter, will you please make sure that the others understand, know the three bids?
Yep.
So that,
I will do as I've done in the past, and I will send a letter to everyone notifying them of the bids that were received from whom and for how much,
And-
and
yeah, okay.
who was
Thank you.
the winning bidder.
okay.
And of course, thanking
Yeah.
them
Of
for
course.
submitting, of course.
So the next thing, we wanted to talk about the process for identifying a candidate or candidates for dog officer and constable, and then posting the whole process of recruiting. I think Gabby, you had some questions last time about this, but I'm not sure if
I
it was you.
didn't, no.
Okay. So a year, January of 2017, we sent out quite a thorough description of the two jobs. And we can put that again on the
Yep.
town website and make reference to it on Front Porch Forum and maybe also on Guilford, Vermont Facebook page. I think we should all be, I've asked Jared and Mike Kachuk and Dan and other people to think about it, but I think we should all be thinking about who can do this.
Did we hear, Sheila, that Jacob Boyd had somebody perhaps in mind? Was that
So,
a rumor?
no, it was not a rumor. Jacob told me that personally. The individual that he thought would want the constable position did not feel that they would be able to meet the 110 hours of training that are part of a requirement as part of that
Right.
in their work schedule, and so they declined. Jacob has been asking basically everyone he knows between the ages of 18 and 60, he said. And he said most people he's asked are too busy with work and personal lives.
Was there anything specific that jumped out of Jacob that, that he saw as an obstacle getting someone to do this job?
The
The
number one,
training.
yep, that's
So
the number one.
that's the number one. Is there a number two?
He didn't, if there was, he didn't comment to me.
Okay.
He said training was number one.
Yeah.
And he would like to,
Hours.
he would like to continue doing it, but his work and personal life have
Right.
changed such that he can't.
Right. Well, and that leads to the question from my perspective, how, is the job becoming more demanding than it used to be? Or, I mean, it seemed like for a long time, we went with a constable, but
I think he didn't do much as the constable.
He's basically done nothing as a constable.
I got you, so it's all
Aside from
been
the
around
training. He did go through all the,
Right.
and we were lucky that he only had to do 35 hours of training because of his previous experience.
Right.
To get up to par. So somebody else is gonna have to do a lot more work than he did. So majority of his work has been as a dog officer. And it's, my impression is that he's been much more attentive to resident requests than various people had been in the past. And that was because of people's schedules before.
Gotcha.
And so,
Do we have to have a constable?
by state statute, we do.
What happens if we don't?
You get arrested.
Me?
Technically,
Maybe you'll
if,
solve all your problems, Richard.
technically, if we don't, the state could come in and appoint one if the select board doesn't.
Oh, well, there's an idea.
So,
Do we have, do we know what the time frame is for getting in all of those hours of training? In other words, could a person take on the job and over the course of 2 years or 3 years?
It has to be,
It's prior to,
technically, it is prior to that person taking on that position.
But the training is paid for by the town, right?
The town actually doesn't even pay for it. The state
The
pays
state
for it.
pays.
But
Good.
in order to enroll in it, the town has to sponsor an individual. An individual cannot just go and enroll. Just like anyone else who goes to the state police academy, you have to have a job offer in a position in order to enroll in the police academy. Same thing with the constable training, because most of their training is alongside state police officers.
So if we were to appoint somebody, it would have to be upon successful completion of 110 hours, paid hours
That's correct, paid
of
hours.
training.
Yep,
And if it didn't work, then the state has to train somebody else.
that's correct.
Yep.
Have we, I think one solution to this is to make it more known that we're in need of a constable. I know you've mentioned the platforms that it is on,
Yeah.
but maybe there are others that we need to get it on. For instance, every event that's happening should have an announcement of the fact that the town is looking for a constable. There are a lot of events happening in Guilford in the coming days. So I think that's one way. Would it be worth putting it in the paper, paying for a box ad?
I doubt it. I don't know how many
Would
people.
that be indiscreet to do that?
No, it's
No, no,
not a
no.
matter, I just don't know how many people read those little box ads.
I always read the box ads. Your
well,
favorite part.
Richard, want a side job?
Can you send me the little cap and a nightstick?
Does it need to be a Guilford resident?
Dog
Good
officer, no, I'd have to look up, I believe constable, yes. But I have to look it up to be certain. But dog officer, no.
And do we not pay us the hourly?
It has been $15 an hour.
Which has been
The training for the
constable.
training, and then
All of it.
and then it's like $15 an hour.
hourly
for-
wage is
Yeah.
like-
The hourly wage is $15, regardless of whether it's training or doing the job.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we'll just keep plowing ahead with that.
So aside from posting it on the locations that were discussed, we won't do any other advertising.
I wonder if we could have a simple flyer that we could post in different places. You know, maybe a school parent would be, maybe we could do it. Don't they have notes that go home to the families at Guilford School, or do they
Thursday
do it?
backpack?
I don't know how they do it
I mean,
anymore.
we'd
It's
have to
been a
get
long
permission from
time.
Yeah.
John to do that. I mean, I can post a notice down at the country
But
store
did we
as well.
disagree that we shouldn't put it somewhere else
No.
or even pay for advertising? What's going
I'm
on?
neutral about advertising. I don't,
I think that that's the problem, it's just the word is not getting out. I mean, that's part of the problem. So
And
where
part of
else can
the
we advertise
problem-
it, even if we have to pay for it?
Don't we have a communications committee? Can they take this on? I mean, just as a general proposition to figure out
Yes,
where
it
we
is a
need
communication.
positions, where we should be advertising and how we can make that more effective.
I wonder if we could interest, say, somebody at the Commons in writing an article about the predicament of getting a constable and a dog officer, and exploring whether other towns have this issue
It
as
definitely,
well.
that occurred to me that it could be
so
a
that's you and me,
story.
Miranda.
I could reach out to
Wendy.
the Commons and see whether somebody is interested in, I'll take that on.
I mean, it's just you and I are the communications.
Yes,
committee.
I know. Well, as a communicator, I'll
Okay.
get in touch with Wendy and
Thanks.
see whether there's anybody there or at the Reformer.
So you'll just make us a little checklist of steps and we'll
Yep.
take care of it. Thank you.
Maybe there could be a couple of
I'm just gonna close my mouth.
posters For instance, one up at the Guilford store that says wanted constable or something. I'm serious.
Go right ahead,
With
Richard,
the
you can make
finger.
that one up.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's very creative. Awesome.
Well, Richard is a noted artist.
It's true.
I'll be darned.
That's better than being a notorious artist.
That's true. So you don't want to make the posters?
In his spare time.
Managing the renovation project and doing my
We're
job.
delegating.
I'll check into posters.
Good.
Okay, so
Get that
Richard
on the
will
check.
I'm
check
going to.
into posters.
And I'll communicate to the communications committee.
Okay,
Thank you.
we'll work on this together, Richard.
Is it okay for me to move on?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Vermont League of Cities and Towns. We have to appoint a delegate to the meeting. I think actually first we need to decide if we're going to the meeting. And then if we are appointed delegate, and in any case, we need to comment on decide if we're going to comment on the proposed legislative policies. So, have people thought about whether they want to be at attend the meeting on October 3rd and 4th, I think it is?
Well, I wouldn't say want, but no, that sounds too negative. I thought I might be willing to do it despite the fact that it's, I would have to, find somebody to stay with because,
Well, the town could also do a hotel for you.
you know what, that's way more expense than I'm comfortable with for the benefit that the town would get from having me go to the meeting. I have been reading through
The
all
agenda?
of well, not just the agenda, but their proposed, I guess, agenda, their program for the coming year. And I mean, I can't say, I feel as if I don't have enough experience really to evaluate their,
Well, don't you go to as a delegate and then come back and discuss it? No, you vote
No.
vote
So
there.
there's an annual meeting the
Uh-huh.
afternoon before, and then there's the whole day of sessions and workshops and trainings and things like that.
so it's separate, basically they have posted their priorities, and the person who is the delegate brings the sense of their town to either endorse or amend their proposed priorities.
So if you're the delegate, then we should all look at, and if you're going to be the delegate, we should all look at the policies and tell you what we
Correct.
think of them.
Yes, if we decide that it's worth it for our town to participate.
So maybe I could give a little overview. So the policies are, they sent out the draft policies, and last year, for example, we read them and we had a couple of comments. One was on in internet infrastructure. This year, I thought they were, I mean, personally, I didn't have any edits or anything that I felt was a position that I'd recommend that the Guilford Selectboard take. I don't know if other people felt the same way. You sit in the meeting and you listen to people discuss each section of the policies, and then the delegates vote yay or nay. And then the next day, I looked at this whole list of workshops and feel like there's little that is new that is that we wouldn't get elsewhere easily, and that if most of any of these were to be of benefit, they would be of benefit to the town clerk and maybe the treasurer.
Both of them are going.
Yes, and I thought,
They're both going?
yeah. And so I thought that most of the other stuff, we could probably skip a year. We've been to a number of town fairs, but
It's
that
okay by
is,
me.
that is my own personal opinion, just having done 4 now, I think. So I don't know how other people feel about that. But
I was interested in a workshop on, what was it, unconscious bias, but Curtis Reed is a Brattleboro
Yeah,
person, and we could, anybody who was interested could probably catch up with him here.
Mhm. Gabby, do you have any preferences? No?
We've already.
My preference is that if Miranda wants to be a delegate, that we should.
Well, it was more like take one for the team if we thought that it was.
That's my sense too, yeah.
If we thought that it was,
Well, I'm happy just that we
Important.
can skip it.
Me too. Unless there's a dying need for someone would like to attend, I don't think it's necessary.
It sounds like not. I mean, I think
so
it's, I think
Penny and.
Penny and
Ellie.
Ellie and probably Danny will go. Although I don't know, if there's much of a Danny here this year.
Danny said he wasn't going to.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
He has not been in several years. There's often not a lot, this is not
For road crew.
the most useful event
Yeah.
or
No,
event
not for him.
for him.
so, oops, sorry, I hit
No.
the table, not you. So the select board will not attend the conference, so we don't need to worry about registration. Does and therefore we won't need to appoint a delegate. Does the select board have anything to say about the proposed municipal policies? Or are we happy to let them move forward with what they've proposed?
I'd like to look at them again before.
Okay. I mean, we're past the deadline for comment.
Oh,
Yeah, technically we are.
Um,
Good.
That was last Thursday, I think. But I thought if anybody felt strongly that they would still take comment, which
No, it was last Tuesday.
is 6,
I thought it was the 4th.
whatever.
Okay, either
That
way,
was
close
the
enough.
So
Great.
I think we are done with that.
Thanks, everybody.
yes.
Emergency Management Conference, Peter.
Yes. So
Thank you so much for going.
Sure. I actually have to say I was rather impressed. I was a little skeptical about going back this year. I went because I thought it was important. And at the end of the conference last year, they had everyone do a feedback forms on the conference, and they wanted to assure people that they were getting a lot more serious about the feedback from participants. And it seemed evident to me, comparing the 2 years, that they took it seriously. And I think there were a number of changes to me that were evident. One of which was there was a lot more workshops geared towards people who were not in the first responder field, people who were either town administrators or town managers or select board members. And I think that there were a number of workshops that I felt were, I got a lot out of. And given the events that we've had in Guilford, from the ice jam in January to the road washout over on Green River Road, there were some things that I took away from that, and I'm going to talk with Sheila about, and hopefully Chuck, about things that we can implement that I think the next time we have an event like that in Guilford, that we can be a little bit better prepared to handle it and deal with that in a way that has the least impact on the town.
Were there workshops in schools, school shootings?
There were 3 workshops on school shootings, and I did not attend any of them, one not being a first responder, but also they conflicted with a couple other ones that I actually got quite a bit out of. And so I was very impressed with what they did this year and the changes that they made. So I think it was really worth my time up there, and so yeah, I'll be talking more with Sheila about it, and sharing more with you guys through other channels about, I think, some changes that would not be that big a deal, but to make those changes, but I think the impact down the road would be beneficial.
Mhm.
Great.
Any
Was there
questions?
one particular piece of new learning that stands out, like just one small highlight for you?
I think one of the things was, was actually in regards to the ice jam that we had here. And I think one of the things that was just blew me away is to handle very differently how we did that. While I do acknowledge that we had a couple of residents who were impacted by that, based off of what 3 different individuals who presented this workshop were saying, is probably the best thing to do, unless there's imminent danger to someone's life, is to leave an ice jam alone and let it come apart on its own. It's a lot safer, and the results will be much better in the long run. Because they were saying, in brief, what they were explaining is trying to break one up can actually worsen the flooding that people are experiencing. And last January, the rest of the state was hit 10 times harder than we were. We were very lucky. They showed some videos of central parts of the state and northern part of the state, and it was horrendous. So,
Thanks.
Warrants.
I'll make a motion to pay the following payroll and warrants. Payroll for the week ending September 2nd, 2018, in the amount of $6,511.29. Payroll for the week ending September 9th, 2018, in the amount of $5,614.58, and expense warrant 1805 in the amount of $14,901.10, for a grand total of $27,026.97, with the main expense being gravel.
Gravel.
A lot.
More.
Are we stocking up for the winter?
No,
Oh,
the roads, they've been using the gravel on
Yeah.
the roads.
is there a second?
Second. Sorry.
Gordon, thank you.
Of course.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Communications?
we have one communication. I did share it with Sheila, since she's involved with the emergency management. But this was geared more towards select board members and was less detailed than the emergency management. The state is preparing a statewide catastrophic exercise for next October, so not in a month, but for a year and a month from now, and are inquiring regarding which towns would like to participate in it. And if a town does want to participate in it, there are 4 mandatory planning meetings. One in October of this year, January, March, and July, and then the event will be next October. So it's something for the select board to consider, is whether or not we want to participate in this event. It's a 2-day event.
So we actually considered this and discussed this at an earlier meeting
We did.
because, and I don't remember which one, because as interim or whatever emergency manager, we got this and I presented it to the board and said, this, because we no longer have funding, it would, if we were to join, if we were to be chosen as one of the towns to participate, we would probably have to pay for the mileage and the whatever we have to do to get to these planning events. And Herb Myers and I agreed to be on the planning. We filled out a survey based on the approval of the select board and agreed to be part of this planning. So we've committed to these 4 days.
Oh, you did, okay.
And I'm not sure if Guilford is going to be one of the towns to participate, because since then, Rich Cogliano has sent out what are your goals for the town? And I'm having it's a bit of a challenge for me right now to figure out what our goals would be in terms of the goals of the statewide exercise. So I'm having a conversation with Rich to see if we really should be doing this, and I'll report back. So that's why I said, I was
I'm
working on it.
sorry, I didn't
Yeah, it was a
remember that we did.
long, it was
I remember.
probably
I
in the
remember a
spring or
discussion, but I
summer.
don't remember.
So is Chuck involved as our EM?
So, not a lot, more notable in the absence, which is something that we're following up on.
What happened to Jane Brooks Maloney's letter? Is that a communication or is that being
She
handled?
never got back to me about whether she wanted to be on the agenda or not. I never got a response to my,
I think it should at least be a communication. If not at this meeting, the next meeting, to close the loop.
sure, we can bring it. I mean, I said that we would put it on the agenda of the next meeting if she wished.
I mean, either way, it
Because
should be at least a
It doesn't have to be
communication.
on the agenda, but it
It should be, I mean, I'm not
Communication.
clear as to how we're determining communications that are in our communication versus not, because we get a lot of email traffic. So I'm unclear about how we're determining what to do, what not to do. I think that's one that is a communication, whether or not she wants to be present.
Yeah, I had suggested to her that there were 2 different ways of notifying the town, or 3, you know, and so. I think her letter qualifies, well, it was to all of us, so I think it definitely qualifies as
Okay.
contact the town. Yeah, so we'll
I
add it.
I will add it to
Thank
communications
you.
next, in 2 weeks.
Were there
And
others?
Sheila's
Nope.
response gave her a lot of places to look for some of the answers besides just coming to us for an explanation.
No, there were none others this week.
All right. I
Move to adjourn.
No. I want to remind everybody, Gabby too, Gabby and I want to remind people that there is this meeting on September 12th, Wednesday, at the Guilford School gym with refreshments, a dark and stormy night, and it's about community resiliency, among other things. So I'm hoping that lots of people will come out, and that you all will call people and say, please come to this meeting.
I've been communicating, I mean, it went out to the whole Grange mailing list
Good.
as well.
People are going to get
Sarah's
multiple.
been contacting people
Yep.
and I've been,
Mhm.
Is that another name for the fluvial thing, or is that?
No.
So, I mean, it's
Is it-
about,
is it inclusive of both?
It
Or
has
no?
to do with stories from Irene and how flooding impacts our town. And so it's
neighbors, personal
Who
property.
conceived it?
It was part of the Confluence project.
Yeah,
As well as influence from Wyndham Regional Commission.
Green River watershed.
And it's through the funding that flows through WRC for the Green River Watershed Alliance.
So will we discuss any of that? No.
You said,
Did I miss something?
yeah,
Okay.
I've sent out, there are programs.
It's
I'll
really
send
meant
it,
to
I'll
be,
send
It's
that
been
out.
really
it's not
confusing
about just our
because-
town, because it is about,
Right,
it's
that's
a
fine.
three-town grant and project, and so it's really just meant to bring people together to have these discussions.
Gotcha. Will we be talking about?
So I will send out the program to everybody tomorrow,
Right,
all on the
okay.
subboard, okay? Yeah, we'll be, Steve
Not
will
at
be there
that.
to be talking about the flood and fluvial erosion hazard ordinance.
So we don't have any formal meeting set up for that on its own?
Thank you for that segue.
It's supposed to be separate.
It is supposed to be separate.
Do we know when it would be?
And we that is the thing I've been racking my brain all
I
day
see.
today to remember what I needed to bring up today. So with everybody's indulgence, I would like to suggest that October 17th be the final public discussion of the flood and fluvial erosion hazard ordinance, location TBD.
I'm gonna have difficulty
With
being there
people
on the
that-
17th myself.
That,
I looked at my calendar.
That's Monday.
October 17th.
October 17th.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought it was
it's
next.
October 17th, so.
No, I could do that one.
Yeah, I can't do that, so.
6 o'clock or six, I don't know, we haven't, different people have to come with Steve, and we have to, the select board has to agree, I think the planning commission.
Do we all have to be there? It would be good if we would.
It would be awesome if you were there.
You say October 17th?
October
No, the whole
17th.
select board was
Gabby
there the
can't
last
be
time.
there.
I work Wednesday night, so I.
And what about you on the 17th?
I don't have my calendar, I think.
You can
think
check.
That's good work. Yeah, I don't think I can be at Wednesday's meeting, the dark and stormy night.
I can do the 17th.
Okay, and I'm going to ask Michelle about it for Mondays.
Shall I email you about whether I can or not?
Yes, thank you, yeah.
I will check with the school if we can use the cafeteria.
Thank you. It might be here. I don't know how many people will come to the 17th,
I think we
the
need
Grange
to-
isn't gonna be ready then, is it?
No.
No.
But I think we need to be prepared since we had 74 people show up last
Or
time.
maybe the church.
And we had 25 people show up just for the evening that you guys were voting on.
Does the school charge us a fee or no?
They do not. The church would.
I think let's go to
Yeah.
the school.
Yeah, I think the
Yeah,
school is a
worked
good
well
thing.
there.
I will follow up
Thank
with
you.
Mike.
Okay, and I'm really sorry for postponing your motion to adjourn, but I just,
No,
that's
that was
like
good
all day
discussion.
long I've been trying to figure out what
Sure,
was it that I
was very
needed.
important.
Okay, so,
So now I will put forward my motion.
did we adjourn?
Hmm.
At
7:25
7:25 PM, 2 weeks in a row?
Second.
Second.
That's the way it should be.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.